Hello everyone and welcome back to the YouTube channel. In today's video, I'm going to be doing a quick recap of the upcoming game tomorrow between the Rams and the Jaguars in LA. So I'm going to talk about a couple key matchups here, and starting off I'm going to talk about Trevor Lawrence against the Rams secondary, which is obviously headed by former Jacksonville Jaguar Jalen Ramsey, and you already know he's going to love to try to pick off Trevor, but hopefully that does not happen. And it's going to be a very impactful matchup because the Jaguars' run game is decent, but I could see the Rams defense really trying to put a hold on our run game and forcing us to beat them with the pass. Well, so I expect 8 men in the box, almost 75 to 80% of the snaps, if not more even, and a lot of one-on-one coverage, man coverage, press coverage, a lot of that to really put some pressure on Trevor. Because even though Trevor's looked good at times, he has been somewhat inconsistent. And I know this Rams defense is going to be hungry, and they're going to want to really pressure him and force him to beat them. And on to the next matchup. It's going to be a huge matchup for this Jags Oline. So Linder is hopefully fully healthy now, which is going to be a huge bonus. But I'm still wary because, the Rams defensive line is out of this world. They have Aaron Donald, of course, and they added Von Miller, and they have so much more ammo on that defensive line. It's going to be a long day if this offensive line can't even slow them down slightly for Trevor, especially if we can't get the run game going. So that's a huge matchup for me to watch. And probably the biggest matchup for me is going to be this secondary against the Rams' weapons. Whether OBJ plays or doesn't play, you still have Cooper Kupp, you still have Tyler Higbee. Henderson might not play, but you still have Sony Michel. They still have a lot of weapons, even though their weapons are banged up, with Robert Woods, of course, being out for the rest of the season and much more. I'm still very scared of their weapons. They still have Van Jefferson, who's a legitimate deep ball threat. He had that 80-yard touchdown a week or two ago. And I'm just very, very wary of this secondary, specifically the safety position. Now, Shaquille Griffin's out, and Tyson Campbell's hopefully playing. He's expected to play. So I know Tyson will probably be on Cooper Kupp, which that could be a rough matchup for him because Cooper Kupp's very underrated and he's one of the best route runners in probably football at this point. But the real scare for me is going to come down to the safeties, trying to hold them from beating us deep. It's going to be a very long game if our defensive line does not get pressure because the secondary is a bit banged up. And before it was even banged up, it was still relatively average, per se. Which makes me very wary because, just thinking about it has me a little nervous, honestly, because I just don't think that it's going to be a good day for our defense. Unless our defensive line, specifically Josh Allen or even Dawon Smoot, has huge games. Matthew Stafford's been struggling, but this is the type of game where he can really bounce back because we're missing our best corner. Our defense is a little banged up, especially on the interior D line as well. This is going to be a long game if we're missing a lot of people. But overall, I do think it's going to be a good game. I can't say I expect the Jaguars to win. I'm hopeful, but it would take a very almost perfect game from the Jaguars. We'd need to win the turnover ratio. We would have to really establish the run early and get their defense on their toes. We'd have to put up some crazy points quickly, whether it's from a special teams big play or a big broken tackle type of play or a big pick six or a fumble return for a touchdown or a blocked punt for a touchdown. We need something that'll really give us a boost if we want to win this game because the Rams are a playoff team. They're honestly a fringe, probably Super Bowl favorite at this point. Now, I know they have been struggling, and they have lost, I believe, 3 straight, but it's still not a team that you can just write off and say, oh, you know what, Jaguars should actually win this week. Absolutely not. They're still a playoff team. They're still going to give us a very rough time. They have a very talented roster with probably multiple Hall of Famers on it, if we're honest. And I just really think the only way we're going to win this game is if we play pretty much a clean game from a turnover standpoint and a penalty standpoint. And Trevor really has to show up for this game. I think that's our truly only chance. I love the way this defense has been playing, but they're going up against an offense that's very talented. And I really am honestly scared of what this defense has in store for Trevor, because they have a very, very loaded defense. I mean, they have good linebackers, they have a great secondary, they have a great defensive line, obviously. It's going to take some beautiful throws by Trevor, whether it's deep balls or just tight windows. He's going to have to be almost perfect for us to win this game. So overall, I'm going to say, finally, I'm probably going to predict a Jaguars loss. For a score prediction, I will leave it at 24-14. I think that's a very fair prediction for us. If we get one of those big plays like a pick six or a punt return for a touchdown or something big like that, then it becomes a very interesting game, and I think we could actually be in the game. But as it stands right now, assuming none of that happens, I do have the Jaguars losing this week. But to wrap up what I was going on about, I think there is multiple huge matchups, and probably the biggest matchup for us is going to be easily the Jags Oline versus the Rams Dline. That's easily the number one matchup of the game, let's be honest. Because if they can't slow down that pass rush at all, and they're putting 8 in the box to stop our run game, it's going to be a very long day for this offense.